to be represented by two talented 3-year-olds here in Southern California. The first one is journalism. Journalism worked on October 10th. It was a solo main drill, and as we watch this workout courtesy of our friends at firsttv.com, the first thing that strikes me, Andy, is when journalism shows up in the morning, his coat looks like a shiny copper penny. It is unbelievable the conditioning the trainer Michael McCarthy has been able to keep him in the entire year 2025.
Yeah, he's been training the entire year, including five races in the last less than 5 months, including all 3 dances in the Triple Crown, which is difficult to do. So Michael has done a fantastic job keeping this horse going. This horse is really easy on himself. I think he's one of those horses that he does exactly what the rider wants him to do, doesn't pull. It serves him well to keep him fit, and he never goes over the top as a horse. And Michael's obviously, this is an easy 49 maintenance with really an easy gallop. Yeah, he's been working in company since the Pacific Classic and the 2 drills here. This is the first drill he's worked alone. He's super fit. He just ran a 1.25 mile at the end of August, and all the races and the training he's done this year. So he's just the trainer, I believe, is just trying to keep him happy and fit. And as you can see, he's held his weight really well. This drill was the easiest of the 3 since he's come here, but I found him the most impressive, just the way he looked physically, as you mentioned.
And as they get closer to the wire, we'll continue to watch the workup, but it's kind of when he reaches the wire that he gains his most momentum because he's so used to those classic distances. This is just a kind of a warming up period for him. Right. Now when they start getting closer to the wire is when you really see him start to extend his legs and build some momentum.
Right, and as you can see, he's kept him off the rail. He's been kind of in the 2.5 to 3 path through most of this drill, and then you'll see the rider. You can really see him pick it up here. He lowers his head a little bit. And Michael McCarthy is just like his mentor, Todd Pletcher. Yep. They work to the wire, and then they'll do a really nice, smart gallop out with his good horses. And this is exactly that. That's like a 12-1 last 8th, if I remember correctly, for a gallop out, which is the sign that a Michael McCarthy horse is doing well.
Time certainly doesn't tell the whole story for journalism's most recent work, which we're looking at 49 and change for 4 furlongs. But as you can see, the endurance building was certainly much greater than that. Now, in contrast, Danny, we're watching Citizen Bull, who is going to run in the dirt mile. This was a solo main track drill on October 12th. It was relatively early in the morning before sunrise, but all you got to do is look down in the bottom right-hand corner. 6 furlongs, 111 and 4. This was, in my opinion, a very impressive work for the dirt mile.
He's kind of a round horse. I'm not trying to put him down, but I think Bob has always tried to make him more fit as time has gone by, because I think he tends to be a little roly-poly. And so they gave him a really nice drill here. This is J.J. Hernandez. You can't really tell, but it's J.J. up. He's going to dirt mile. He's going to have to pick things up in the afternoon, but you can't take anything away from this drill. They do ask him, and he was like 58, and I had a little faster in the game. I was like 110 and 4 down to the bottom, which is to the bottom, meaning an 8th past the wire, which was to the 7 furlong pole on our track. That's the wire as he just passed, and he's as many Bob Baffert horses do, they go down and do an extra 8th past the wire. And going around the bend, sometimes it's, to work is if you're tired, you can't hug on the rail. You kind of drift out a little bit. And this horse was straight as a pin all the way around. So he's plenty fit.
Now, Nisos is on a little bit on the comeback trail. This drill was on October 12th on the main track as well. A little bit quicker, 111 and 1. My impression of this workout when I watched it a little bit earlier this morning, Andy, is I have a feeling, this is just me as a skeptical handicapper, they're trying to play catch up with Nisos, because as we see the motion of the exercise rider throughout this entire race, he's asking Nisos, in my opinion, a lot more vigorously than JJ was asking Citizen Bull.
That's absolutely true. He missed 13 days before this drill. Nisos was scratched on the eve of the Pacific Classic, missed about a month of training, at least works, not training. He was on the track, and then had 2 drills and then missed one. And then this was with a 13-day break before the previous one. So he probably needed this drill. I find the most important drill will be the next drill to see how this horse comes out of the race. This drill, pardon me. As you said, he asked this horse, and he went. I had 110 and 4 down at the bottom, and he worked on kind of 7 furlongs around. You'll see in a second to the 6/8 pole. In 124 flat. So it was a good time, but he was asked, and we'll see how he bounces out of this. he's such a brilliant horse that he may be able to pull this off. If Bob does this and this horse does it, God bless him. I hope they can do it.
And believe it or not, Andy, my favorite 3-year-old in Southern California is the one we're looking at right now, Baeze. And you and I both know, both physically and mentally, he's been a bit immature, but you can somewhat excuse that because he's a May foal. I'm so happy that he won the Pennsylvania Derby. Now, this is a slow 4-furlong workout for trainer John Sheriff's in 52. Do you see any improvement, say, from the winter meet to now to make him any sort of a serious contender in the Breeders' Cup Classic?
Tons. He used to be a goofball. He was immature mentally, as you said. He would work in company. He'd get in front of horses and they'd drift in or he'd drift out. He never seemed too focused. And then this drill, this is a 52. This is right out of the Pennsylvania Derby. This is Hector Barrios up. They did nothing with this horse, just an open gallop. Subsequent to this drill, he worked 59 flat in a more serious drill and dusted off a barnmate. He's mentally so much more focused that I think he's an up and comer in this. Can he go over the top of sovereignty and journalism and fierceness at all? Mentally, he's there with them now.
We're going to get over the top with Andy when he tells us who he likes on today's 9-race Holiday Monday card. But before we do any of that, let's toss the microphone over to track announcer Frank Miramati and get the early changes on today's card here at the Great Race Place. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to a special holiday program at Santa Anita Park, the Great Race Place. Track is fast and the turf is firm. The rail on the turf at 0 feet. Here are the changes. In the first, there are no changes. Early pick 5 starts here. The second starts the early pick 4. And that should read blinkers on for number 4. In the third, no scratches or jockey changes. That should also read blinkers on. The fourth starts to pick 6 on races 4 through 9. Scratch number 1, Sleeper Sullivan. Scratch number 2, Tascadero. 1 and 2 are out. In the fifth, start of the late pick 5 and all turf pick 3. You do have a scratch now of number 10, Goatski. Number 10, Goatski is now out. The sixth is the start of the late pick 4. Just the one blinker note. Those will obviously be corrected in a half an hour. In the seventh, the Swing Time Stakes, we start the late pick 3, scratch 12, Musical Rhapsody, and 14, Delightful Laura. Eighth race is the start of the $5 late double, blinker notes. And in the ninth, scratch number 13, Surf Star. There's super high 5 wagering on the ninth. $2 beers, $2 hot dogs, dollar sodas as part of this special holiday program here at Santa Anita Park. Let's go back to Quigley's Corner. Enjoy your afternoon. If you're serious about handicapping, you've been to nationalturf.com. Andy Harrington is Tom's special guest today. Welcome back. We're talking horse with Andy Harrington. As you heard track announcer Frank Miramati say, you can find Andy's work on a daily basis at nationalturf.com, where he gives you the rundown of almost all the runners in every single race and the workouts leading up to their most recent race. It's valuable information. You should check it out because you'll become a better handicapper as a result of it. All right, Andy, 9 races, a good 9-race card, as I mentioned in the opening. Kicking things off in race number 1, where we're coming down the Hillside Turf Course. This race is for allowance optional claiming types, non-winners of 2 other than. The turf rails today are at 0 feet. Also, race 1 begins the popular 50-cent early pick 5. Got a field of 6. The morning line choice and the current betting choice at even money is number 2, Bad Uncle Barry from the Mark Glatt barn, ridden by Umberto Rispoli. Who do you like in race 1 and why?
There's a bunch of hard knocking horses in here. The ones that have won multiple times down the hill, which I'm always partial to. But I'm also partial to horses cutting back in distance down the hill. I find it plays longer than 6.5. And on that spirit, we're going to go to the outside horse here, the 6 horse in here, Balladeer, who drops out of graded stakes and long distance. He was in a 2 mile and 1/16 Kentucky Downs race 2 back. But he's been in graded stakes all along. $80,000 is you're going to have to really have a lot of nerve to claim a horse for $80,000 in here. I think 6.5 might fit this horse. He's always showed speed. He gets the outside box, which I kind of like. He can kind of set, doesn't have to be on the lead. He can be just right outside some of these horses. He's obviously super fit. He just ran 1.25 miles at the end of September, and he's 6-1 in here. Now, there are a lot of horses in here to go with because there's, like I said, there's a couple in here that won multiple times. I went with my second choice in here, the number 2 horse, Bad Uncle Barry, which is a horse that's been 2 for 2 down the hill, which is a really important handicapping factor for me. This is such a unique course that horses that have success on it are always to be followed. And this horse just basically showed up every single time he's run. The only bad race he had was going long, so I'll forgive that. And he just won at Del Mar, so he'll show up. So he was my second choice in there, but I was going to try to take a little bit of shot on Balladeer on the outside in there.
Balladeer right now sitting on the top board at his morning line of 6-1. 2 additional comments on what Andy was referring to regarding his top choice, Balladeer. First of all, gets the services of jockey Edwin Maldonado. We know that Balladeer likes to show speed. I'm sure Edwin will keep this horse close to the pace. Also, although this horse has used Lasix at some point within his 31 race career, you can see looking through the past performances that he hasn't used it in at least 2.5 years. So now he re-adds Lasix. That's always a very good handicapping angle for me when horses re-add Lasix because it's not noted as such as a first-time Lasix user in the program. Race number 2 begins the 50-cent early pick 4. This race is named in honor, I should say, of Foothills YMCA Quarterback Club. We're going 1 mile on the main track, maiden special weight 2-year-olds, a field of 7, number 2. Mr. AP, who's run 2 good races for trainer Vladimir Sarin, is the 7-5 morning line favorite. 7 ways you can go here, Andy. Which way are you going and why?
We're going to go on the outside horse here for the second-time starter from the Michael McCarthy barn, Eruption, who's got 2 nice drills down here, and including the last drill was 58-2, demolished a workmate. Rispoli comes back on him, which he raced him in his first race. He was going 2 turns, this horse, against Intrepido, who ended up just winning the American Pharaoh a week ago or so, and I don't think he was 100% cranked up to go a mile that day, so I think he's a horse that clearly can improve fitness-wise. And Michael McCarthy has put in 3 drills and 4 drills actually, including the last aforementioned 58 and change drill. So I thought he'd improve enough in here to be a 5-1. Somebody I think I'd get a shot on. The second horse in here that I came up with was the number 4 horse in here, a horse adding blinkers called Out of the Woods from the Phil D'Amato barn and the Little Red Feather guys. He kind of ran a mid-race move last time in a race I think he kind of needed also. He was not asked too much in the lane. He's come back with some nice drills, including a gate drill, all with Giovanni Franco up. I think he's definitely a route type horse. I'm trying to beat Mr. AP, who's the Vladimir Sarin $150,000 claim at Del Mar at 7-5. And there's 2 Bafferts in here, but both of the Bafferts are, they could win, but they're not in the A squad, put it that way, in the Bob Baffert barn, which isn't really a I'm not knocking him, but because there's so many good horses down there. But I think they're both beatable. So we're going to go in this race the 7 Eruption over the 4 Out of the Woods.
Andy, since these are 2-year-olds, let me ask you some questions about some more advanced 2-year-olds. Specifically, we'll start with Intrepido, who you mentioned beat your top selection in race number 2, Eruption, last time out. We saw Intrepido, as you mentioned, win the American Pharoah for trainer Jeff Mullins. Do you think he's going to continue that improving pattern and might be a factor in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile?
No.
Okay.
I thought that race was, everybody got really tired late, and he's a really gutty horse. I can't imagine that he can improve enough to run down the creme de la creme. So I don't know what's on the East Coast, but he's going to have to get better than that last race.
Speaking of the creme de la creme, I don't know who that might be, but is one of the creme de la cremes on the West Coast Brandt? Bob Baffert barn?
I have my serious doubts of whether the horse wants to go 2 turns. He's training decently. The last drill was his better drill. I didn't feel in my mind was training as good out of the Del Mar Futurity as he did into it. I think 2 turns is going to be a difficult putt for him. So I'm on the fence about him. So there, I give you both sides of the coin right there.
And in my opinion, the most impressive Bob Baffert maiden winner down at Del Mar was a runner by the name of Boyd. Now, just one lifetime race up to this point. Have you seen Boyd bounce back in the morning since that effort?
He hasn't worked back. So no. So I don't think the Breeders' Cup is in the cards. And my guess is something like the Los Alamitos Futurity, which Bob uses a lot, and it's a good space for a lot of these 2-year-olds who win at the end of the summer. So he may use that.
Race number 3 is for fillies and mares, $10,000 claimers, non-winners of 3 races lifetime, traveling 1 mile on the main track. We've got a field of 7. The Maury Line favorite, number 6, La Scolanetta from the Doug O'Neill barn, 9-5 in the Maury Line. Tyler Bays, the hustling rider in the saddle. What say you about race 3?
Yeah, I went with the obvious favorite in here. They put him in a realistic spot, the Doug O'Neill barn. It's a barn transfer from the Sweezy barn, who's a Florida-based trainer who came down for Del Mar and left some horses here with, I think, all with Doug O'Neill. This is one of them. This horse has been competitive at allowance races and won at 25 at Del Mar. This is a $10,000. Let's get some the money for the barn kind of thing. I think she just lays over this field. The second choice in here, I took a little shot on the horse inside of it called Vegas Love, the number 5 horse. They put blinkers on this horse. It runs evenly. It kind of runs like a router. It routed early in its career, and it was kind of a inconclusive effort. But I don't see any reason why this horse can't improve going 2 turns. So a lot of these horses I've seen a lot, and frankly, I'm just trying to take an X factor out of this race, and Vegas Love may fit that bill.
In this race, Andy, we do have a shipper coming in from Emerald Downs on the rail. Number 1 Unbridled Scholar for trainer Blaine Wright. There's been 2 local works, including a 59 and change on October 5th. Any chance you saw Unbridled Scholar in the morning?
I did. I saw the serious drill, the 59. This horse fits in here. She is routed twice and won twice. That catches my attention right away. Now, generally, Emerald Downs shippers have a tough putt around here, so we'll see. But on the workout and this consistency and the route form, I think it fits in here for sure.
We've got a field of 11 going in race number 4, which is the first leg of the $2 pick 6. The field of 11 will be traveling 5.5 furlongs on the main track. Maiden claiming Calbred 2-year-olds in for a $50,000 tag. There are 2 scratches. Scratch the inside 2 runners. 1 and 2 will not compete. However, number 13, Senor Tequilas, does draw into the body of the field. Lukewarm morning line favorite. Second race in Southern California is number 6, Still Bulletproof from the Leonard Powell barn. 7-2 on the morning line. Give us your thoughts on race 4, Andy.
Well, a lot of these horses are dropping out of a Calbred state maiden allowance into a $50,000, and I don't know. It doesn't seem like it's much difference in this group. I don't even know if it's a drop for some of these horses. I went with a horse that I thought trained okay at Del Mar. It's the 9 horse in here from the Mike Pipey barn, Wasted Warrior. The drills that I've seen, it can improve. Orantes has been on a horse almost every time I've seen it. It's in best in company a couple times, and like I said, the Del Mar drills were better than the race. It showed at Del Mar first out. It did break slow and kind of got lost back there, as first time starters often do. And there's not a lot of world beaters in here, so I thought I'd take a shot in this horse. He is 5-1. Wasted Warrior, the 9 horse in here. The second choice is the aforementioned lukewarm favorite, Still Bulletproof, who is in a Leonard Powell barn, a barn transfer from the Patrick B. and Combe barn. They put Umberto Rispoli up, which is, I think, the number one guy down in the Pal Barn these days, which caught my attention a little bit. Comes out of a route race, so it should be fit. It bugs me a little bit that horse has had one drill since September 6th. Maybe it's just trying to do something different and do a lot of hot gallops. Rispoli did work this horse on the TT the other day, so I found that interesting for a Calbred $50,000 horse. So that was my second choice in here, the Still Bulletproof, which is the 6 horse.
Full fields continue in race number 5. That's because we've got a field of 10 after the scratch of number 10, Goatski. The morning line favorite, once again, lukewarm, is number 4, Skating Through Life at 7-2. Race 5, we're sprinting 6 furlongs in the turf course for fillies and mares starter optional claiming types. Also begins the 50-cent late pick 5, as well as the $3 all turf pick 3 wager. We need a winner in race 5, Andy. Who's it going to be?
The Mark Glatt horse in here, Unbinding, is Ratcha Temescal pick from Europe. And I've always been really impressed by the way that the horses that they pick, even if they don't turn out to be world beaters, they're always athletic things. They always find a useful level around here. And this horse took a couple races to come around. They got her back into a sprint, won rather easily with Antonio Fresu up. It's a deceiving victory. He was always never gonna lose. And I've always kind of, when a horse wins from the 12 or 5 furlongs at Del Mar, that's always impressive to me, because that's a really tough post to win from over there. I don't see any reason why I can't improve in here. 6 furlongs should fit right to a T. So I went with number 5, Unbinding, at 5-1, and the second horse I thought was sort of interesting here. The 8 horse in here, Double Bay, is a maiden from the Michael McCarthy barn. Michael's to my mind, a very conservative trainer. This horse wasn't a stakes race early in her career. He wouldn't do this if he didn't have a reason. And maybe there's not another maiden 6 furlong race in the book, and he wants to get race into it now. I don't know, but he wouldn't do this unless he had some confidence in the horse. So I thought this was interesting, and it goes back to Rispoli, who rode it 2 back when it just missed down at Del Mar early in the meet. So my second choice in here is Double Bay, the 8 horse from the Michael McCarthy barn.
Andy, I'm going to add an additional comment to your top selection, number 5, Unbinding, and it specifically relates to the comment you made about winning from the outside post in a field of 12. The Del Mar turf course was, in my mind, the easiest condition or race to handicap down at Del Mar. And the reason is because you could just bet blindly the inside 4 post positions down at Del Mar and turf sprints going 5 furlongs, and you would hit the winner 60% of the time. Go back and look. It's right on the Del Mar website. The inside 4 post position sprinting 5 furlongs in the turf course dominates. So the fact that this filly could beat a field of 12 breaking from post position number 12 tells me that she's on the improve, tells me that she's on the she's going to take another step forward. Granted, she did drop down to maiden claiming, but I do agree with you that I think she's very dangerous and a very juicy 5-1 on the morning line. Race number 6, we're sprinting 6 furlongs on the main track for maiden claiming 2-year-old fillies. In for a $32,000 tag, another full field of 10. Also, race 6 begins the 50-cent late pick 4. Of the 10 runners, number 1, Not Happy, the daughter of Run Happy, is the 2-1 morning line favorite. Another bit of an inscrutable race to me, Andy.
Yeah, I went back and forth. I just decided to go with the 2 favorites in here because I went with the outside horse in here as my first choice, Darlin Sugaree, who had a 59 flat the other day, 2 back, and it wasn't so bad for this level. Came back and gated after a decent gate after breaking slowly and never really got on track in a maiden Calbred allowance race. So it does look like Hector Barrios had his choice and went to the rail, which is the Rafael de Leon favorite, Not Happy on the rail. I'm not sure what the story is. Maybe it is or not. So I went with the Darling Sugaree as my top choice, and my second choice is the Rafael de Leon dropper, who hasn't been really embarrassed too much in maiden allowance fields, as my second choice in here at 2-1.
We've been harping the praises of trainer Michael McCarthy. So in race number 6, have you seen any workouts for number 5, Miss Q, for trainer Michael McCarthy, who is adding blinkers and taking a significant drop down in class?
I did, and it worked the drill and lost by 10 or 15 lengths. I can't endorse it off the drill. So maybe he fooled me or something, but she was not so impressive in that race.
One additional comment for Andy's top selection in this race, number 10, Darling Sugaree. I can tell you, as you can see in the racing form. That was a very live race that she exits back on August 24th. The second place finisher we know resides in the John Sadler barn, Umbrali, who came back to win. Also, the third place finisher, Camila Catalina, came back to win a maiden special race on the main track at Keeneland on October 10th. So certainly that company in the maiden special weight division was much tougher than the maiden 32 that she's going to face today. Race number 7 is our feature race on today's card. It's the Swing Time Stakes for fillies and mares going 1 mile on the turf course. $3 late pick 3 time as well. 2 scratches here. Scratch the 12, which was a program scratch. Also take out the also eligible number 14, Delightful Laura. Leaves us with a field of 12. Number 11, Vibes, is the 3-1 morning line favorite. Million different ways you can go here, Andy. Which way you going?
Yeah, I went with what I thought was the improving horse, Wordplay, the 3-horse in there. This horse trained like a bomb for Simon Callahan and kept just kind of running races where she would just run around the course and just kind of the last eighth of a mile, she'd just be happy to be third or fourth. Jeff Mullins claimed this horse for $50,000 in April here and has just every single time has improved this horse. Run great races. Has a really nice stockings kind of style. Umberto Ruspoli, who's won on the horse in the last couple times, fits this horse really well. You always take the improving filly over the horse, the filly with a bad race, and that's my play in here. Wordplay, the 7 in the 7th race, number 3. Now, as far as my second choice in here, the 6th horse in here is a horse that had an aborted race last time because the saddle slipped and they had to pull the horse up, Watchtower. But this horse has some really big, it's won graded stakes races with a really furious late rush with Diego Herrera. And they go back to Diego, who's won on the horse and ran a big second. I don't see any reason. Richie Baltus wheels this horse back, but the last race wasn't really a race. It was just probably a gallop, probably worked a quarter mile, and that was about it. So I thought this horse might have a little bit of class edge on some of these horses. So Watchtower, my second choice, number 6.
Andy, a couple of questions for you, a couple of double-digit odds horses in this race. Let's first start with number 7, Venganza, who's been working on the training track. Before you tell us specifically about Venganza, I recall during the winter meet, you said the training track was playing exceedingly fast. Is that still the case, or have the time slowed down a bit?
No, it's super fast. The horse that won this week for Van Cougar for
Peter
Ern worked 44-2 on the training track. I thought I screwed it up because it was too fast and nobody was out with me in the morning. So it was on XBTV and I clocked it on XBTV. It was exactly the same. It's 44-2 and he wasn't asked. So really good horses.
That tell you everything you needed to know.
Really good horses go really fast in this track. And if they like it, like especially turf horses, they just skip off the top of it. So I have find it's very difficult to discern. It doesn't really get horses condition-wise good, but it keeps turf horses who are in form happy.
So with that in mind, we see some bullet works or good works for Venganza. Have you been impressed with her works in the morning at all?
They're decent. This horse is always trained pretty good. I never know when it's going to run. I wish they'd bring it back to a sprint. That's where it's won, and they keep routing this horse. And I scratch my head. I mean, even I'm sure Richard Mandel has forgotten more than I know. But I would that's where I would put the horse. So.
Another double-digit runner, Andy, is number 5, Raw Ability. Now, this will only be Raw Ability's second start since April of 2025. There was one 1-2-turn turf event in early July at Delmar, but then she's been on the shelf since then. Again, we see a pattern of training track drills. What do you think of her performances in the morning?
The drills are okay. I'm not going to knock this horse, but I'll be honest with you. When fillies don't show form, I'm going to stay away from it. And her first race in the country was uber impressive. I thought she'd be really nice, and she's kind of had stops and starts in her training, and so I'm going to try to look elsewhere. But on some of her past races, if you go back to them, it fits in here awfully well.
And the filly and mare comment you just made, we saw most recently at Keeneland with Torpeda Anna. Once they go south, or once they don't really hold their form, they tend not to be able to recover quite as quickly as the Colts and Geldings can.
Once they decide they want to be mommies, I think there's a line there with some of them, and they say, "Let's go to Kentucky," and
sure.
I'm done with this.
Let's run around.
Yeah, you boys go have fun.
Race number 8 begins the $5 late daily double, which always pays well, as do most of the exotic wagers here at Santa Anita. We're sprinting 5.5 furlongs in race 8 for maiden claiming Calabreds in for a $50,000 tag. Take note, number 2, Mom Says, is a first-time gelding, likely single on many Pick 6 players cards, is going to be number 4, Bazooka Charlie, who is putting the blinkers on for trainer Steve Miotti. Even money on the morning line. Single here, Andy, or you're looking to upset the favorite?
Well, I picked Bazooka Charlie as my first choice, but this horse lost at 3-5 last time and 9-5 the time before in races that it didn't seem like he could lose. He may do the same thing in here again. Antonio Fresu strings along. The drill was fine the other day. I think it's more indication of the shallowness of the field that this horse is even money on the line and probably going to 1-2 or 3-5 or something like that. So I went with the obvious pick, Bazooka Charlie. I did take a shot on the 2 horse in here. Mom Says, as you mentioned, the newly gelded Mom Says has had 3 or 4 drills since, has showed speed. This Carmona has been up on the horse, so maybe that's why Hector Barrios, who rode it the first couple times, is not. I'll forgive this horse's first race going 2 turns, going long on the dirt. That's almost impossible to get a horse like this fit for. And then it showed speed and then stopped last time. I'm going to give it one more shot. So Mom Says would be my second choice in here.
The rail for a debut runner, Andy, is never easy, but sunk cost fallacy for trainer Mike Pipe. He is a first-time starter with a number of drills, both down at Del Mar and in the morning here at St. I'm sure you've seen him.
Yeah.
Any chance he might upset the field?
When this horse came on the track on July 27th, Del Mar, I had check marks because I really liked the way this horse moved. It was a 25-4 in the dark, and sometimes you get fooled by drills in the dark. They're all steady drills. They definitely fit in here. The horse isn't too fast early. It's had 3 gate drills, and the last one it was just kind of evenly. I don't know if it can flee the rail. It'll have to come around horses in here unless it's got more speed than I seem to have noted. Talent-wise, it fits with this level. It would have been my third choice had I a third choice to pick in here, but the rail kind of was my deciding factor against it.
We close out the day. We close out the week in race number 9, keeping in mind that live racing resumes this coming Friday at St. Anita. 9 races scheduled at 1 o'clock p.m. Pacific time. But first things first, in race 9, where we offer $1 super high five wagering. We're sprinting 6 furlongs in the turf course for maiden special weight fillies and mares. Again, a big field of 12 with the scratch of the also eligible number 13 Surf Star. Of those 12, the morning line favorite is number 3 Lady Chic at 7-2 from the John Sadler barn. Give us a winner to close it out, Andy.
In 2024 in the summer, Lady Cheek was John Sadler's easily best filly and maybe even his best horse in the barn as a 2-year-old of his 2-year-olds. And I think he thought the same thing. It got a little hiccup and didn't start at Del Mar, got scratched into the meet, and then ran in a 2-turn dirt race, which is almost impossible unless you're Bob Baffert to win first time out. This horse didn't run bad, and then came up with something, and then came back and just missed, and then ran broke slow, got behind horses, rank, everything you don't want to see in a horse going long. And John Sadler rightly gave it some time off. It's trained really well. If it runs back to what I remember, I think this horse will be pretty tough in here. Hector Barrios gets back on this horse. So I thought the Lady Chic, the 3 horse in here, was pretty tough. The rail horse, My Perfect Wave, has trained really well, ran really well first out. Gets Lasix, gets down inside. They go to Rispoli, and Tim Yakteen has Johannes and Rispoli. That's their go-to turf guy in my mind. Johannes ran second in the Breeders' Cup Mile last year and is going to be one of the top choices, I believe, for the race this year. So My Perfect Wave from the Tim Yakteen barn, I think will run a really credible race. The horse is definitely fit enough, so she'll give a good account of herself. She's the 1 horse in here.
Andy, a couple of questions about a couple of ship and win candidates in race number 9, specifically starting with number 5, My Cherry Pie from the Patty Gallagher barn. Adds Lasix, hasn't shown much, but also hasn't been seen in the afternoon since over a year, September of 2024. You give My Cherry Pie at 30-1 any sort of long shot look?
The record, maybe because it stopped, it was a kind of Lasix. It gets Lasix this time. The drills are okay, and for a Patty Gallagher horse, it's got 4 or 5 or 6 drills. Patty Gallagher tends to train his horses very light, and sometimes they need a race. I think this horse might be fit enough. I don't think it's the worst stab in the world, just from the Lasix handle alone.
The other ship and win candidate is number 9, Gray Matter from the Richie Baltus barn. 1 start in May at Churchill Downs. The Baltus barn has been doing very well during the autumn meet here at Santa Anita. Tiago Pereira in the saddle. Any sort of a long shot look to number 9, Gray Matter?
I never really had a lot in this horse. It kind of is a lumbery sort. It kind of feels like maybe going long, with a race or 2. I'd probably watch it and, maybe it can stretch out and win. They've tried just give it, endless 4 furlong drills. So I'd probably wait and see on this one.
Andy, you've already put in an 8-hour day, so I'm going to cut you loose and let you go back home and do some more work because you got to transcribe all your notes from all the workers that work today. But keep up the great work. You can find Andy's work at nationalturf.com. As I mentioned earlier, you'll be a better handicapper of it. Thanks for your time and insight today, Andy. We'll do it again sometime soon.
Okay, sounds good.
Thanks to all of you for watching as well. Enjoy the afternoon. Remember, if you're on track, $2 beers, $2 hot dogs, and $1 sodas, and a great card of racing here. 9 races. Enjoy the afternoon, everybody, and good luck. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for our national anthem.